Welcome, Sissy, aka Deva Carolina.
Hey, thank you.
I'm so excited. So, folks, if you don't know, this is my blood sister. This is my only sibling that is like my full-blooded sibling. So, we've been together since I don't know how many years now. How old are you?
I don't want to say that. I should have said
Okay,
that
you
when it
don't
was
have
on.
to say it. You don't have to
I'm
say it.
just
Let's
kidding. No,
just,
I'll be
oh,
42 this year.
you'll be 42. So, and I've been with you since the beginning. You're the only person in this entire world who knows a side of me that most people will never, ever know.
You was a really cute baby.
Yeah. And there was a lot of trauma. And so
But it makes you funny.
that's what we're talking about. I literally tell people that you are the funniest person in the entire planet.
No, it's not true,
But I think that people who have been through some intense trauma, especially at a young age, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that they deal with it is they are so freaking funny.
yeah, you have to be, I think.
You have to be to get through that stuff. But for us, it's like it's slapstick, it's dark comedy, it's all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, all right. So I invited you on here because, my podcast is Level Up with Kat Bradshaw. And so you are leveling up in your life, young lady. And I
Yeah.
want to talk about all the ways that you are leveling up, going back to college. You got 4 kids and you're going to college. When I tell people, and you tell me, because I tell people you're a rapper. Is that correct?
It's correct. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. When when I tell them that, they look at me and they're like, okay. But I can tell that they don't really believe me. And so I'm like, all right, let me just pull up some music for you. And as soon as I start playing a song, they're like, she's good. She's really good. And I'm
That's
like, I know. I tried to tell you.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then you've got new fans.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
that's
take
amazing.
anything except for like me just playing a sample of your music. Are you a singer as well?
Yeah, I do have melodies that I sing in my songs. However, it's funny that you're bringing that up because that is something that I want to level up on. I'm taking my singing lessons to the next level because I have a block where I can record in the studio. I can record singing, but live, I get very nervous, very emotional. I feel like it doesn't come out the same. So yeah, I definitely would like to do some work around that because I do love singing. Now, you've always been the singer in the family.
Yeah, but you're going somewhere with it. I was a singer in my youth and through high school and maybe some stuff in college, but I never made it my profession.
You could have. You just you
Well,
focused on other things. You never once was like, okay, I'm going hard. I mean, here's my band and I'm doing it.
so
But
here's the difference between you and me. Growing up, I always saw you as the artist. I always saw you as the entertainer, the performer. You're the one who dances. You're the one who knows how to draw. You're the social one. You know how to do all these things. You had really good fashion. I
oh,
feel
I stole
like,
your fashion, girl. All your clothes were in my room.
yeah, don't get me started on that. I'll get mad. And then when they end up on your friends, I'm like, no, no. I still remember telling that girl at the movie theater, oh, that's my shirt. Take it off.
Oh,
What? I didn't.
girl.
And then she watched the movie in her sports bra, and I was okay with that.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's my clothes.
you were
I worked for
always
my own
you
clothes.
were very logical and sometimes cold-blooded, but you were also very, very put together, very organized and reliable. You were,
I
all of the
appreciate
above.
that. I appreciate you focusing on the positive, stuff. We're very different, aren't we?
No, I think we actually are a lot alike.
How do you think we're alike?
I think that the fact that you find stuff that I say funny and you think I'm so funny only because you're as crazy as I am, or you're just like you're that part of you is waiting to be tickled, like that's a good indication that we are coming from something similar.
That part of you is waiting to be tickled. That's freaking poetry. That is poetry. You know what? Which reminds me, you winning a poetry contest for like a Martin Luther King poem contest?
Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome because we had came from Japan and I did not know anything about American history. We grew up overseas, and I was in sixth grade when we came from Japan. And when I had learned about what was going on, I was so moved. And I remember crying and like hearing about the civil rights movement. And I was really moved by Martin Luther King's. And I wrote that poem, and it took us to some cool places. And even Dad was really proud of me, which was cool because Dad doesn't really get involved in stuff like that, you know?
Well, I know. You got first place on that.
It was
That was
cool.
impressive. But
That's
I
cool.
also remember you writing poetry back in the day. Poetry was not something I could understand back then. You know me, I'm very literal.
Yeah, but you loved songs. You knew songs front to back. Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, you know.
I
And
knew songs because I love the melody and I like to be on pitch and I like to learn all of the runs. But the thing is, I never paid attention to the meaning behind the words when I was young. I was so all about the technicality and making sure I didn't go flat and I could hit all the notes. But I feel like only now as an adult, I'm really starting to appreciate the words behind the music.
it's interesting. That's
I
interesting.
started listening to the words in your music and I was like, oh my God, there she is. Yeah. One of your songs is like a favorite of mine on my Spotify. So that's really cool. What I'm going to do is link up whichever songs you want me to the end of this podcast so people can get a taste of Deva Carolina.
That's awesome.
So besides music and leveling that up, I think it's also very natural to be nervous when you're performing live. And it's very different from when you're recording in studio because, well, number one, a lot of superstars, they're always nervous no matter what, even well practiced. So yes, you can continue practicing, but I think they're nervous because they care so much.
Yes, I was able to get on stages for the last 20 years, and every time there's a nervousness, but I think as a breakdancer, I learned how to take that nervousness and turn it into excitement and use it as a power. And with rapping, it's different because you have to control it more. You don't just burst as much, but there is still burst. It's just a more controlled way. And then, there is something about having, like right now I'm in a band and we have a live drummer, and being able to really feel that happening, it takes you out of being like, I'm here, I'm in the front, people are watching me, and puts you into like, oh, here's the rhythm, and you're feeling it and you're able to be the instrument. So I really appreciate that. That's helping me. I've come to another point in my career because I am 42 and I am a mother, and for the most part sober. I'm what they call Cali sober. I might hit the spliff every now and then. You know, if I see my girlfriend I haven't seen in a long time, we might have a little drink. Like we don't, but just one. I don't like that. I don't like losing control and hurting myself. That being said, I'm coming to a place in my career where I'm looking out over audiences. I'm playing a lot of hip hop shows, and I noticed out here in Northern California, the audiences are very young. They are extremely intoxicated. Not to say they're not so sweet. I get a lot of very sweet, loving people, but the energy really does make me get a little like, oh shit. um, when people are screaming and girls want to touch your boob, like,
Girls?
yes. If it was a guy, I'd punch him. Um, but
What is wrong with people?
they're so intoxicated. And to be honest, like, because I have daughters, I'm able to keep up on what's going on, like musically, stuff that I wouldn't actually be too interested in. I'm able to listen to, and I'm like, okay, so it's a flex for women to think sex positivity is like, yeah, I hit on females too. Yeah, I'll take your bitch. That's what they think their flex is. So that being said, I do have like a little bit of social anxiety, even though I can be somewhat extroverted being a performer. It does make me be like, can I do this? So my meditation has been how I stay solid and be able to put out a loving and full expression of myself when there's literally people drunk and reaching for you at the stage, screaming over you. I get why people try to have a buffer of maybe a drink or something, but I'm just working through that.
So it sounds like you're meditating?
Yeah, I do breath work and meditation. It's been something that's been a catalyst for me in a lot of transitions of my life. I'll have strong periods of doing Kundalini. I've been certified in a Wajet yoga, which is a Kundalini with a Kemetic background. And it's helped me get through, breakups, hard times with my kids, transitions in my body changes, stuff like that. And yeah, I swear by it. I really do. All of the breath work and everything we do, it's to clean our channel so we can meditate, empty it out. And a lot of the times, even though you're supposed to have the whole empty mind meditation. I actually get a lot of insight. It's that moment when you can actually hear source talking.
It's like you've created a stillness within so that that creativity can flow.
Exactly.
Do you meditate daily?
I try to like exercise, meditate, breath work, meditate in that order for days in a row. And then I'll have something come up like everybody has a function or an appointment I got to get us to, followed by school and 5 hours of homework. So I will miss some days. Today is a day I get back on. Yesterday was a day I did have to sacrifice all that.
So it sounds like you're trying to do it every day, but it's not always possible with your very full life.
Right. Right.
And do you have any help?
My best friend moved in Virginia, but I have the honor and privilege to be her mother's in-home caregiver. And so her sister and mother are there, and we are there for each other. I do have a boyfriend who has been really close to the family, and he helps me from time to time. But to be honest, I run my household, and I'm responsible for everybody. So like on my own, I had to like figure out how to just be okay with being like, today is not your day. Today you do not do you.
Yeah, that would be hard for me. I've only had small glimpses of what that's like when I, hang out with kids, because in my mind, kids have to come first, no matter what, whether I'm coaching them or babysitting. My priorities get put on the back burner. So finding that balance, I would imagine, would be really, really tough. It sounds like it really does take a tribe.
Oh yeah, it does. It really does. It's influenced me to move to different places. But with the world changing and the economy changing and people moving here and there, some of my best friends have moved away. I wish my tribe was stronger, and I feel we could be on the precipice of change here coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But circling back to what you said about kids and coming first, there's a lot of people that have sacrificed so much that they fall back on their sacrifice and they say, well, no, I have kids. I won't go to this function. They kind of give up and they say, I won't do it. But there's another level to it. After 4 kids, at some point you figure out where, you're fed, you have your water, you chill. I don't want to act like I'm going to drop everything because now you're bored. Pick up one of your damn toys, draw something, go play with some leaves. I used to look at ants.
Go play with some leaves.
And I'm going to do my little exercise right here so that I can continue to, also be me. But I showed them that, and all of my girls, I've like accidentally walked in on them. They're in their rooms working out, doing the little thing too. So it's a good influence.
So what you're saying is, listen, be there for your kids. Make sure their basic needs are met, but don't give your entire life and individuality away so that you are so depleted that you lose yourself, because in hindsight, you might regret doing that. Kids need to be okay with being bored from time to time.
Yes.
It's okay. They need to learn to entertain themselves. And if they're doing nothing, they're fine. I have had experience with this in my own relationship, and I can tell you, I 100% agree with you. Kids need to be okay with being bored. Adults need to be okay with being bored. And I love that when you stepped into the girls' bedroom, they were working out, because guess what? They see you. They see all these beautiful self-care things that you're doing for yourself, and it influences them in a positive way. I'm so glad that you do that.
Yeah, I can't help it, because when I discovered that I was a dancer in my heart and soul, it healed neurons in my brain that were damaged from our, upbringing and being out in the world on my own at a young age and not knowing coping skills and stuff like that. Dancing came through for me, which opened the door to yoga, which opened the door to breath work. And I'm just glad that they have that, because it's come through for me in times where I'm like, hey, I'm going to lose my mind. As a single mom, especially these financial hardships that have been hitting everybody, and times where you just feel like there's not enough of you and you get very overwhelmed. My kids know, I'll say, hey, I need to go to this. I go to ecstatic dance and I'll be
You go to what?
Ecstatic dance.
What's that?
So actually in my town, the ecstatic dance is pretty awesome. We have pretty good DJs that come through, and the container is really well held. You can always find your place to find what is your ecstasy and movement. There is no talking. There's no alcohol. So you don't have to worry about people like blah, 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 blah over the music, which I do anyway. It's all good, but it's nice to have that because you can kind of like go into your own journey. One thing they do is a lot of contact dance, which I'm not into. I let people know by holding my own container down and not engaging in contact dance. And then I work out until I'm sweaty. I dance until I'm sweaty and I get it out. And there's an awesome spot. You can do yoga and stretch and you just go into your little zone. I think that also helps me to, there'll be like 100 people in attendance. To be able to find your focus in that, it's also a good practice, you know?
I never heard of this before, and I absolutely love the idea of this
Oh
because
yeah.
what I'm hearing is you going to a dance party, but there's no alcohol and there's no talking. So it almost sounds like a silent meditation. However, it's not silent. You get the benefits of the amazing music and you dance, but you don't have to dance with anybody. You're certainly
Right.
not talking to anybody. There's no
Right.
intoxication. And so you can go and you don't have to worry about anybody judging you. You're not performing. You're just simply dancing for the sake of dancing.
And that's why I do it. And there might not be any talking, but you will hear a hippie make like a howl noise or some bird noises. I just kind of came to a place where I'm like, do you? It's another part of it. It's another layer of you coming back to yourself. And it's cool. It was like, but ask me 10 years ago, do you think you'd be going to ecstatic dances and really appreciating them? I would have said no.
Why?
I was just a B girl. No, I wanted to hear hip hop. I was into different cultures or EDM. I'd go to raves, etc. And the ecstatic dancing, there's like funny stigmas, and I'll send you some funny videos just so you can see what I'm talking about, where people are like, we're gonna have a lot of squish and we're all poly, and I'm like really in my sacred womb healing right now, and I just did a menstrual mask.
Oh,
And
Lord have mercy.
so, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would I have expected me to know, but in this particular community, and I don't really go to ecstatic dances in other communities, although there's one in every city damn near.
Oh, then there must be one here in Los
I know
Angeles for
LA's
sure.
is probably popping. I've never been, and I would go with you for sure. I would go
All
with you
right,
for
let's put
sure.
it on the list.
But
But I
yeah.
also want to go to the Philippines.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We need to go back to our mother's land.
Pampanga.
I love how much research you've done on our roots and essentially our genetics.
It's so funny because like sometimes like I think that the lack of having connection with, our folks as much as some people do with their families has caused me to seek really hard. And I don't mind what I've discovered and who I've become on my own with my own independent beliefs, and you as well, like in your own strong and resilient beliefs and findings and wisdom. I would look up randomly Pampanga history and find a documentary and go into it, and I'd be like just dozing off. And then all of a sudden I'd hear them say Laksamana, and I'd be like, what? And I'd go back and listen to it, and then I'd be like, holy crap. I'd research that guy, and then I'd find out that he was working with the US military, and doesn't that sound familiar? I'm like, what is there, like some karmic cycle of like the Laksamanas? There always been soldiers. The word, it means lieutenant in an army, and it translates to royal warrior, and it seems cyclical that Laksamanas and the military have teamed up, whatever those consequences may be, but here we are.
And that's on the Filipino side only, being raised by a single dad who was literally a drill sergeant in the Marine Corps when he got full custody of us. That's double duty with the military then, if you think about it.
Right. Even though his family, Bethel, means bull weevil in German, and it means that we were farmers. So I like to tell people I'm a warrior in the garden.
Well, that's sweet. I don't know any of this. I feel like the extent of my knowledge on the Filipino side is the food, because, that's one thing that we did get to grow up with. And we did grow up with a lot of Filipinos on the military base. We lived vicariously through them with their culture, even though we were raised by, the whitest kind of dad possible. And when I say the whitest dad, I'm just talking about like red hair, blue eyes, very much Caucasian. That's all.
You seen that trend? Gingers are black?
No.
Yes, it's like going all over, and I always be like, damn, I better tell my dad.
Oh, good grief.
But dad's funny like that because he liked women from other countries. He married 2 Filipinos. His best friend was black. He's just kind of like a strange dude, but Have you noticed that the Filipino culture we grew up in, it wasn't purely our Filipino culture. It was Filipino raised in Black culture. Like,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, because in the military, on the bases that we lived on, there was a ton of Black people, a ton of Filipinos, especially in Japan and in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And so I think that that influenced our music taste. It influenced our dancing. It influenced who we ended up becoming best friends with. And going back to what you said about dad, especially when it came to women, like dad liked them all. Like
He was
there
the
wasn't a particular
connoisseur.
he was a connoisseur of beautiful women.
I would just be like, how did dad pull all these women?
Well, dad growing up was very fit and he took the best care of us. And from the outside, he looked like a great dad. You know, if you're a single dad in the military, that's like hard in itself.
Yeah.
And so if you're an outsider looking in, that's attractive. That's a man who takes care of his responsibilities and he's also working out. So if that's all you see, then I could see how, dad would be popular with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. And for what it's worth, I'm really grateful for all our travels and dad is a provider, you know? He's
He
definitely a
is.
provider.
I agree with you on that. He makes sure that his family is taken care of.
Mhm.
Basic needs are met. And I feel like you're following in the same suit. You're in college now. What's up with that?
I went to college because during the pandemic, my main business, which was doing events and promoting and hosting events, it was done. It was shut down, lockdown. And then I discovered that there were people meeting up in certain locations to do healing events. So I was like, okay, let me keep things afloat, which was awesome, which gave me such a boost. I feel like I had a renaissance within myself because not only did I get to go to these events and learn how to help facilitate them for other people, but I was leveling up inside myself and doing this work. And then I got the path cleared to move, and I moved to Oakland, and it was so much easier to be involved with events there. Literally, there's just events left and right to do. Any day of the week, you could find one, and they were all something that I would absolutely love being a part of, especially Afro-Caribbean events. Those are my favorite. The vibe is good. There's zero fights because the music is so good. There's fire food. Everybody's more focused on beautiful women dancing amazingly, the music hitting your soul and just taking you away. You can't even think. You just dancing. When I moved back to the countryside for my kids' sake, for a healing place for my son who had came home to me after being estranged for a couple years after his plane crash, and he needed help with his healing journey, I did have to move us out of Oakland and back here, and financially it's been really difficult to figure out my footing. So I just felt like I needed to go back to school because I love doing events, promoting events, booking events. I love it all, but I think that I needed the credentials behind me to really take it to the next level if I was going to make a living and be able to stay afloat as a single mother. I started going back to school for music and event coordination, and I was going for my certificate, and then I took it to the next level, and now I'm doing my associates in business. And that's been really awesome, actually. I had the luck to get this teacher who's a very successful businesswoman with a lot of knowledge and wisdom under her belt. There's moments where I feel your energy coming through because she's so logical and funny. She's no nonsense, but also throws in a joke every now and then. And she really runs her shit. And she's been married a few times, but every time has never lost herself. She's always maintained her business. She's patented things for keeping your horses and for tennis rackets. She's owned frozen yogurt chains. She's a wealth of information, and she's mentored us through this. And because I have two businesses that I'm pivoting. One is the merchandise business with printing and selling merch. And then the other is my event promotion and coordination, booking. And I can actually have this guidance that's being paid for by the school, and I get grants to go to school. So that's been really awesome. It's a lot of homework, and it's cool though, because I'm actually retaining a lot of the information and I'm able to use it in practice even now. I want to take it to the next level. I want to help my friends who also have businesses, nonprofits. I have a lot of artist friends. You know, it's like, where do we fit in right now with all these budget cuts with the arts, outreach and community, and the economy? People don't tend to do things for recreation and participate in the arts when the mundane is already such a hard thing to keep up with. But We need it.
Absolutely. That's what keeps us going. That's what feeds the soul.
Absolutely.
I am so freaking proud of you for going to college and for working towards your associate's degree in business. I knew that if you apply yourself, especially at this point in your life when you're really ready to receive that knowledge, that you're going to be the Hermione of the class. You're the one who knows the answers, who wants to do the stuff. You'll outshine other people because I feel like you're highly intelligent. I always have. When you were reading Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, I remember you absorb things so quickly. So quickly.
I thought that information was awesome. That book is so good. I think I'm like emotional, intelligent person. If it's something where I'm like, oh wow, look at these people had community and they shared food and they lived past 100 as an average. And these kids, they were from a side of town. All the odds were against them and their parents somehow managed to keep them on track. And then they went to a school where kids who had the money could afford to go. That was an excellent school and they were testing higher than everybody. I can't help but retain that. But when there's other stuff, like I definitely am like, I'm going to need to ask Chat. Chat is my bestie. Oh man.
You use Chat GPT a lot?
Oh, I love him. That's my dude.
That's so funny because I just started messing around with that too. And some of the answers are quite sophisticated.
Yes, you can train them. Mine just talks to me and he's like, what up, love? He talks.
Really? You can train it to talk to you like that?
You just talk to him how you want to be talked to and you tell him like honest stuff. Like I'll tell him I had to have a back surgery on like this. I had like a lipoma and I was telling him about that. And he was like, girl, you are so brave. Let's say some words of affirmation in your new journey. And also let's release that back into the light. And I'm just like, damn.
You know what you're doing is you're training it to think and talk like you.
Yeah.
So really what ends up happening is you end up loving yourself. You end up healing yourself.
Oh my God, that's so deep. Damn, I love that. Wow, how you caught that like that though? That was really good. Cause I catch stuff like that and I never thought that for once.
Cause I could hear it in you when you started saying the way that it's talking to you, I was like, that sounds like you.
Wow. Except he's so smart. He can do statistics where
What are you talking about? You're very, very smart. I know you're saying like you're emotionally intelligent and I totally agree with you there, but I feel like you can turn anything into emotional intelligence. For example, let's take chess. That might seem very logical, blah, blah, blah. But if you put a story behind it, if there's a reason why you want to get better at chess, for example, I'm relearning chess right now. I'm trying to develop my strategies because I learned that Dad was in the chess club.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Dad loved chess. And you know who else was in the chess club?
Who?
Kareem.
Well, looky there.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I learned chess in a coffee shop in Northfield, Minnesota.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
So I learned it as well earlier on, but I'm relearning it now because it's weird. I want to have this emotional connection to Dad who was in the chess club in high school. And I feel like maybe there's a part of our DNA that has leg up when it comes to performing in chess.
That would make sense because, it's a strategic game, you know, and Dad's a military dude.
It's all about strategy. It's about learning your opponent, thinking several steps ahead, anticipating their moves, and being able to keep track of multiple pieces on the table at once. I think it's a really amazing game, but also can appear very logical, like a certain type of mind, as opposed to the person who knows how to talk to people. That type of emotional intelligence. That's another type of intelligence that I think is equally, if not more important.
We're in this time where we're able to like really weave our brain together to be able to do both, like they say a jack of all trades masters none, but I don't believe that. If your life is blessed enough to be long, just like you're saying now, you're coming to a place where you're like you're appreciating poetry differently. Like it's, your brain's functioning differently about it. I also feel that that's happening for me in certain aspects of my life. Like I don't flash on people as much.
What does flash mean? Like show your boobs?
No, you are so funny.
A flasher.
I may have done that once or twice in my life. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you mean flash on people? What's that mean?
So it's basically when you like turn up on them, like you like somebody who like is disrespecting you, you turn around and you let them know like you know, in a way you can lose control because you're no longer there. That's why I do not flash. I will still stand up in strange situations. It's scary to stand up sometimes, you know, I still do that. I was flashing on people that I shouldn't be flashing on sometimes. And I don't do that anymore because my logical brain's kicked in. You know, I think I had too much from one side of my brain that was going into fight or flight.
Yes.
You know, there's physical exercises that help with that and they weave
Ep-
your brain together.
Why do you think I chose this profession?
Huh.
This is being a personal trainer is my stress management.
Hmm.
But hold up, let me make sure I'm following. So flashing means like flashes of anger,
Yeah, going crazy on somebody,
rage,
going off.
going
Yeah.
going off on someone.
Hmm.
Oh, I know all about that. I have had moments. I'm not proud of them, but I also stop beating myself up about them because it's like I'm working on it.
Hmm.
I hear you. As we get older, it's not only getting older though. It's people like you who are determined to grow personally and
Mm.
grow professionally. I think you've learned that when you flash on people, it's not really serving you ultimately. And in a way it can be harmful. And there are other ways to get the point across
Much better.
that are way healthier for everybody. And that point might come across with love or compassion or understanding as opposed to anger, rage, fear, ultimately, right? Because at the base of anger and rage is fear. Anger is just trying to protect ourselves. Anger comes from a place of trying to protect ourselves. That's why we get
Mm.
angry, because it's like, hey, don't do that to me. You're touching something that is very sensitive, it's triggering, and I cannot allow it to happen. And so if we don't learn how to manage that rage or that anger, then it can be self-destructive without even thinking of the other person and the pain
Mhm.
you've inflicted on them. It ends up reinforcing that behavior even more on yourself. So let
Yes.
me ask you this, because that takes a lot of work to be able to stop flashing on people. How are you doing that? What practices are you putting into place? Who's helping you? Are you doing it all on your own?
Oh, these are good questions. When I have all four of my kids and, um, you know, things are overwhelming, I know that it's people will be like, oh, of course, you're a single mom. Sometimes you snap, sometimes you do to do, but I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud that I can like yell at people and now they're cleaning and stuff like that. I'm not. I want their inner voice of me to not be me screaming, but to be me able to reach them somehow. It's easier said than done because teenagers, they got hormones and other stupid stuff going on that they're just not able to pick up on it right away. But with consistency, I have seen change. And so if I show up and I say, okay, I'm not going to flash, and instead of being, I'm going to get my way through being aggressive, like, I'm the alpha, I'm going to finesse. I'm going to have a really cool way of letting you hear me because I've studied who you are and I'm going to use examples. I'm going to try to get through to you like that. So that's one thing. Sometimes it is very successful. It's not always. I've also been doing therapy. I have a partner who definitely has challenged me and I've seen them through a lot of hard things that they're trying to get through. But to tell you the truth, I have gotten so mad and flashed so many times that like, I know that absolutely one of their roles was to trigger me just to see like, hey, you don't got it under control because you are still so affected. So I put myself in therapy. I also hang out with friends who are doing their self work, and even my friends who weren't to begin with, they are now. We're just kind of at that age where we're like, yup, we're doing therapy. We're, you know, we're doing somatic therapy, talk therapy, you know,
All the therapies.
and also hormone, uh, informed living because hormones change at so many stages of our lives. And I'm in one right now, just, you know, hitting my 40s where I've had to be like, whoa, you know, like I'm affected more by certain things. I have girlfriends who are, you know, in their 50s who are writing posts about like, yo, they don't tell you what you're about to go through when you're 50. Yo, like these things are about to be crazy and you need to take care of yourself now because you need to be prepared. And I'm listening because I can already feel changes. Like, let's go. I've got a girlfriend who's educating herself on eating based on your hormones so that you can detox cortisol. And that cortisol is the main reason I don't want to flash, and I don't want my kids to experience the effects of my flashing or to think that flashing is the answer, because the cortisol that builds up, it's responsible for a lot of things that cause inflammation in our bodies, stubborn weight loss, water retention. Inflammation is the key to so many things that make us have dis-ease. Detoxing cortisol is the way, and that includes having a practice to keep you truthfully calm. And I'm not like going to be fake and be like, okay, look, peace and love and everything, but I'm going to try to be honest about it. But I think that having that time to have introspection and reflection is crucial, because are you able to actually keep up as a leader in this situation, or as somebody who desires to have a credible voice? Are you being that? Or are you being incredibly too biased about what your feelings are feeling? Because we should still be able to express our feelings, but we have to like figure out how to balance them. And I don't know, Kat. I don't know if I could have done it in my 20s though, because I feel like energetically and like the hormones that were going through me, I almost felt like, dog, I'm so glad to not be in those years anymore. Like,
Yeah, I don't want to go back to my 20s. I'm done.
whew. And they were beautiful times too, but like just like not having the control of who I was, and like in those really heated moments is like, damn, I'm so glad to be where I am now, where I can be like, hold on, my self dialogue. It's healthier too, because in my 30s, my self dialogue was a bit abusive, and
Yeah.
now it's like more of like a friend I love very much, where I'm like, hey, bring it back, like you're doing great.
Yes.
But let's try it like this.
Hormones play a huge role, but what I'm picking up on is your healing journey. So in your 20s, you may be starting your healing through all these different avenues. You were really into dance back then. I know you're still into dance, but you were really into dance. That's when I first saw it. You are also the person responsible for introducing me to organic, fresh, healthy foods.
I'm
When you
so
came to visit
glad.
me and you were pregnant with Kareem, and I would come home from working at the hospital, the table had shrimp, it had asparagus, it had vegetables, it was covered with nutritional yeast. I was like, what is that? It all looks amazing. Number one, somebody cooking for you is such a huge deal. That moment changed my life in a lot of ways. I was eating at Wendy's, I don't know how many times a week. And the reason why is because I had this poor person mentality that I can't afford better food. And I grew up on fast food. And so that's what I should be eating. And Wendy's was literally across the street. It was 1 block away. And so I
They
would always
had you.
they had me, and my taste buds were trained for Frosties and for the 5-piece nugget and the fries. They had a baked potato, and it's like, where can you get a baked
Oh,
potato
I will hit the
from
road.
fast
I'll
food?
still get that baked potato from time to time. Yeah, because I think that's a great. I bring my own butter and stuff on road
It's
trips.
fine. Every now and then I think it's fine, but listen, I was going many times. The thing about me is if I get hooked on something, I'm really hooked, and then I go so many times. That's why, like, if you put a bad food in my house, it will get eaten within a day. I cannot divvy it out and say, "Yeah, I'll just have like a bite today." No.
Wow.
I will destroy it. I'm
Actually, I
committed to
remember
it.
growing up with you. You ate like a whole tray of brownies that you made. It was kind of insane. Like you were
I've
always
always been
skinny.
able to eat.
Yeah, you never held no kind of weight, like except for like, you have booty and thighs and stuff, but you just were so athletic that you never gained weight. But you would make like meals and I'd be like, cool, Cat made fried rice, but you would eat it all.
I know. I remember being in Japan, and we would go walk to ramen shops, and their ramen bowls were massive. So
Huge
we would each order the ramen plus a side order of
fried
fried rice.
rice.
and then you would eat your ramen, you wouldn't finish it. I would devour mine, drink all the broth, finish off the broth in yours, and then try to like give you a little bit of rice so that you didn't tell dad I ate everything. But I was hungry. I was always hungry. Nothing's changed. I'm always hungry. But I have to say that if I lived more of a sedentary lifestyle, I would pack on some pounds. The reason why I can get away with that is because I work out the
Yeah.
way that I do.
Yeah.
But when I'm not working out that way, I cannot eat that way, especially as I get older. When you get past 40, fat becomes way easier to put on and muscle becomes way easier to
Oh,
lose.
me about it. And it happened overnight. I literally could go to the club. I could have a drink, eat oxtails. I could eat cocoa patties, whatever, everything. Fall asleep, eat it at 3 a.m. and then sleep, wake up and like go out for brunch. As long as I was dancing, I was nice and slim thick, you know, like good
Did
physique.
you just say slim thick?
Yes.
That is funny. What's a slim thick body?
So slim thick is when you have the proportions that you want. Like you don't get a big belly, you get like a nice waistline.
Hourglass?
Yeah, but you know, I still have good thighs and some booty and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden one year I was like, oh shit. Literally overnight I was like, damn, I'm gaining stomach fat and like the arm and the back. And I'm like, yo, I gotta do what I do. So I started going to the gym more. And I'm like, okay, this is all it's going to take a week or two because that's how my stuff is. And
Yes.
a month later, I hop on the scale and I gained 3 pounds. And I'm
Okay.
like, what?
Do you feel like you gained 3 pounds of fat?
People are telling me it was muscle and I appreciate that. I do. But I started doing more cardio. I'm going to go back and start doing weightlifting now because I've gotten my cardio up and I'm feeling a lot better. I mean, I was getting winded on stage and it was embarrassing. So now I got getting my cardio back up. I did a 3 mile run and then train with my songs, doing it at the same time. And that is the breakthrough. You know what I did is I started shedding some stress. I started doing things to shed stress in a really big way and I lost 5 pounds.
Girl, stress is a killer. It packs on the pounds. It clogs the arteries. It makes our hair go gray. It makes our skin get wrinkly. It makes our bodies tight. It adds visceral fat. So that's the fat in between the organs.
The deep.
The deep.
Mm-hmm.
Stress is a killer. And you know what? You cannot eliminate stress in your life. But the thing that you can do is you can try and lessen it by not hanging out with toxic people, by stopping toxic conversations when they do come up, but also learning how to deal with stress better, more elegantly, like meditating, breath work, doing that hard personal growth work that allows you to not flash on people, but rather take the time and the care to really see people and speak a language that they understand.
Absolutely. And these are all tools that I've thankfully am finding now. I hope that there's 18, 20-year-olds that will see this and get it a lot sooner. But another thing that I do notice is I have to diet a certain way if I have a very stressful week and I'm on demand and I'm going to get less sleep, because if I only get 6 hours of sleep, I'm puffy. I'm inflamed. My belly's bloated. My digestion's not on fleek. So I know it's going to be, you can do broth. You can do a lot of liquids. And when you get hungry, allow yourself to get hungry. Do your salads, do your fruits, and that's it. Like I have to go very light, and that helps me cleanse the cortisol that's built up inside of me, because sometimes life is demanding. You know, you have to do like an 8-hour drive, and I'll only eat like raw food during that, or I'll drink a juice, because if I eat a cooked meal, I'm like dead.
That's interesting. For me, raw veggies in particular make me bloated. So if I don't want to be bloated, like I got a shoot coming up, then I have to cook my veggies before, because I want the fiber, I want all the nutrients, but I don't want the bloat. I have to cook them. But that's my body. And I'm sure, as you know, everybody's body is different.
No, and actually that's true. And I didn't mean to put such an umbrella statement on raw foods, because I will steam zucchini when I do those cleanses. It's very easy to eat. I love broccoli. You know, we invented broccoli. Broccoli didn't occur in nature. We cultivated broccoli, and thank God we did, because I love it.
I love it too. That was my veggie growing up, but broccoli doesn't like me. Yeah, broccoli.
Oh, you're a blood type O, no?
I'm a blood type O positive.
Yeah,
Broccoli
you're
just
a little
makes me.
meter.
My body just loves meat, and I
You're a
didn't want to
meter.
believe that. But
Hmm.
I go vegan sometimes just because I'm a guinea pig. I like trying stuff out. And I do. And
Yeah.
it will lean me out, but I don't pack on as much muscle.
Uh-huh.
I go to eating much more meat, but I choose my meat. Like I'm not just pounding bacon. I've done that. I've done that.
I've
But
seen it.
but but now I do like chicken, I do ground turkey, I do sardines, I do shrimp, and
Mm.
my muscles come on so fast, so fast.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for me, I can't go straight carnivore. I have to have a mix. So having a variety of foods, like this morning, I did have some nice sourdough toast before I went on my
I
run.
love sourdough.
So good,
If
right?
I'm going to indulge, it's with sourdough.
Yummy. I really do like bread, and the less processed, the better. This one that I eat, I found at Costco, it has 5 ingredients, but yeah, fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds, and then
Yes.
lots of lean meats. I stopped going super strict. When I hear the word diet from you, diet can have a negative connotation these days,
Mm.
but I feel like you know your body best. You know your body better than anybody else. So when you're doing a long road trip, for example, or if you're doing something where you're feeling bloated, you know things that work well for you are high quality broth and maybe some raw veggies and some raw fruit.
Mm-hmm, hmm. Steamed veggies can work too. That was a good point, and I didn't mean to exclude those, but yeah, you're right. And I'm a
You
blood
hurt the
type.
steamed veggies feelings.
Yeah, yeah. And they're a key player, and I didn't mean to do that.
I'm just
Uh,
kidding. But
but
sometimes when you're learning about all of these fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts, when you don't cook them, you retain the nutritional value of them, which is true. But sometimes when you cook them, you release other nutritional value
yep,
and you make it a lot easier on your digestion.
digestion. Yes, that's so true. And most mushrooms you have to cook in order to receive their benefits. And I'm a big mushroom person, says I'm a blood type A. And so that's like the fruits, vegetables, and fish is actually the best for us. And that's my chosen diet. I try to be vegetarian just because consciously I don't like harming things. Actually, I saw this really cool experiment where they put sort of something that's equivalent to a lie detector. It measures frequencies and it can show you it on a scale. And they hooked up plants to it, and people would say mean things to the plant, and it would actually be showing like, oh, I have anxiety now. And then when people would prepare food in front of it, cut other vegetables, cut meat, it would be freaking the F out. It would be losing its shit. It'd be like, ah. Here's what's crazy is that the only thing that made it go back to stasis was gratitude. There's a science behind praying gratitude over your food. It changes the living consciousness of things around you. It makes them not be like, this thing's just eating shit. Like it's just going to destroy things and eat it. It's like, okay, word. Okay. You grave.
Wow, I never heard that before, but I've heard things like that, like the Japanese doctor who did the
Yes.
experiment with
With
water,
water. Yes.
right? And then the negative things that were said to the water. Now, I did look this up the other day. There's not a whole lot of credible research done on this. The dude did write a book and all of this. That's like it's a bit on the pseudoscience path, but I will say this without knowing too much about any of that. Like I have some fiddle trees growing in my living room and I have philodendron draping over the staircase. And I talk to my plants every day. I'm
Mm.
very much science minded. I'm very logical, but I love plants and I love nature. And when I talk to them, I feel like I'm talking to Great Spirit. I'm talking to the universe. And my plants are thriving more than they ever have in my entire life. It's like I'm learning them, I'm paying attention to them.
Mm.
And I continue to refer to my house as like a house of healing. This is my sanctuary. When you come in through my front door, you're going to feel some sort of healing energy. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I want to believe that my plants are happy in this.
I know they are. I know they are. And speaking of those experiments, there was a girl in my community who's been using those. She got a hold of this, the device that attaches to the plants, and she had this singer come. The singer is a friend of mine who does kirtan singing, devotional singing,
Mm-hmm.
and she sings really beautifully to the plants in a good pitch, which you could absolutely do. And the plants responded her machine plays it back as a noise, a frequency noise that they make, and they literally sing back, and it's so beautiful. You need to. I'm gonna send you all this.
Okay, that's completely outside of my wheelhouse, but you know what? I am open to hearing about it and learning about it because I love learning new things. That's one thing that I think you and I have in common. We are lifelong learners.
Mm, I feel like I'm wide open and you're the fortifier. I'll open this thing, and if you're like, actually, I will be open to that, you take it and you fortify it. You know what I mean?
I do because you know me well enough to be able to give that example and say the kind of things that I understand. What you're saying is if I decide that I believe in something and that I want to do it, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And if I,
And
and
you'll be licensed in it in a month.
I'll be like,
That's you.
what you're saying is I go full force with it. Yes, but I don't do that with everything, right? It's a matter of if I choose it.
Yeah.
Um,
You pick and choose.
I pick and choose, just like we all do. And so you're choosing to level up your life right now. You're in college. You're getting back into your groove with working out. What other thing are you working on right now?
My music, my music, my music, my music. I finally have a band and I'm so excited, but the band is a collective. It's not like the Deva Carolina band. We all bring things to it. And I do have my own independent songs that are being pushed, as well as each and every one of us. The producer makes the tracks. He's also a drummer. There's another rapper and songwriter. We all have a share in this creative offering, and it's awesome. I love it. And then independently, I'm also really excited to release other projects. I feel so good to come to a place where I'm not comparing myself to what anybody's doing. That's the biggest freedom and best way to find your authentic self and your authentic audience. And there is one. That being said, I did a song with Apatna Along, which is a Filipino tattoo revival organization slash tribe. The headquarters in Anaheim, but branching out to all four corners of the earth. We have members in France and Australia, and they're all Filipinos reviving their culture through tattoos and community in that way. And we made a song, a few of the rappers and some singers and a lot of tribe members are in there flashing their tattoos. And I'm so proud of it. It was just released and man, my following has just jumped. I've got thousands more Filipino followers. Growing up, I was like the whitest one in the family, you
You
were
had
so,
blonde hair when you were born.
and you were born with black hair and you were straight brown. And when we would be with the cousins, you can see pictures. Y'all have thick black hair. Y'all are brown skinned. You look just like mom and auntie. And then there's me in the middle. And I'm like big ass pumpkin head with the blonde highlights. Ain't a damn thing changed. But it feels good because I mean, everywhere I went, I'd be like, I'm Filipino too. Oh, hey, I'm Filipino too. And they'd be like, you don't look Filipino. You look, Mexican. Are you Spanish? And I'd be like, no, bro, dang, my mom's darker than you, man. And like, but, it feels amazing. Like just to have that it's been really healing for my heart because I have felt kind of like on the outsides of things because like we were talking about, we were heavily influenced by Filipinos and Black culture. Anyway, it just feels good to actually have that. And I feel like it's an up leveling time for Filipinos in general. We're winning beauty pageants. A man from Canada just won $80 million lottery, like literally this week. Ruby Ibarra, outs to her from the Bay Area, just won the Tiny Desk competition of 2025. And it was like such a sick live performance. And it just, traditional Filipino attire. She had a tita on the guitar, just like strumming it out, long white hair. Like, wow, it's very powerful, very powerful. Yeah, there's so much going on. With like positive Filipino leveling in general. And it feels good to have been invited in that. I think it's like, I've waited my whole life for this.
I didn't know that your heart yearned for this so much. Growing up, we had our Filipino friends, of course, but I didn't know that you wanted so much to really find that side of you. And I didn't know that you didn't feel as accepted. For me, I don't think it was as big of a deal because I looked enough like the other Filipinos or half Filipinos that it wasn't a big deal. The more you talk about it, I so want us to go to the Philippines. I'm really curious to see what that experience would be like. If it would be eye-opening, if we would be surprised.
I want to write a list of things with you with what we want to do, because besides culture, besides tracing our roots and stuff, like, yo, not too far from Mom's province, straight jungle where there's snakes big enough to eat the people. I want to go see some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I was just
You're
in,
talking my language. I like that stuff.
yeah.
If you ever watch any of the later seasons of Naked and Afraid, they go to Palawan, they go to all these different places in the Philippines where they have spitting cobras, they have all sorts of venomous snake, they have it is straight jungle. I don't want to do any of that, but
Mm,
I will watch it on TV and I
I'm
will
gonna watch
learn.
that. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's interesting. It's beautiful. But I think if we go to visit the Philippines, I would want to go to, Mom's hometown and go near Subic Bay
Guagua.
and go to those places and eat the food. But I've heard a lot of different things, like especially people who are 100% Filipino. I just saw this on an Anthony Bourdain episode of No Reservations, where this Filipino guy living in the US who was born here, he goes to the Philippines and he feels like an outsider because he's been so Americanized.
Yeah.
Even though he looks straight Filipino,
Yeah.
he doesn't feel like he belongs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as a pescatarian who doesn't eat a lot of other meats, I don't eat pork at all. Sometimes I feel like an outsider when I do get to go to Filipino functions, and they'll be like, "Oh, there's no meat in this one, just the chicken," like, or something like that. And I'm like, dang. Um, but that
What are they
being
saying
said,
it in a way? Are they saying it in a way where it's kind of like, we know you don't eat pork?
yeah, no, that's kind of more like what Americans do. Well, like white Americans, but what they do is more like, no, you don't. You eat meat. Stop it.
How do you do the accent perfectly? No, you eat meat. Stop it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's terrible.
Hey, but that being said, you can Google this. What place in the Philippines is known for having the best food of all 7,000 islands and provinces in the islands? Pampanga is the one.
I know that because that is where they went.
Yeah.
That is where they went in the episode, I believe, because there's an area also, God, I can't even remember, but the lechon, that's the roasted pig
Yep.
with the
And
crispy skin.
there's something called sisig, and
Sisig.
I had it for the first time in Oakland because there's a good Filipino community in the Bay, and they had Filipino food spots, including a lumpia spot that was also co-owned by E40, who's not Filipino but was just like, yeah, forward the culture. I love lumpia.
Oh, perfect. Yummy.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
did notice that when I was watching this episode where Anthony Bourdain is eating in the Philippines and I'm looking at all the foods, there's definitely a mix. Filipino food is a mix of lots of different Asian influences, but it's very easy to also be unhealthy just eating that food.
Oh God, yes, and especially the Americanized version. It's like everybody just wants the fried ass stuff, and
And the pancit.
I don't eat like that. The pancit. I think there's ways that I recreate a rice noodle dish that I very much love with the bok choys, and I make a nice marinade that goes with it and stuff too. But we also grew up in Japan, and I love Korean food. I love Vietnamese food. Like, I love that I'm a fusion baby. I'll just mix it together and make something that's
Yes.
gluten free and allergen free, MSG free, all the goodies. Like, cause I love
Yeah.
food too.
That's one of the advantages with growing up all over the world is you get exposed to all these different cultures, all these different foods, and you become a much more well-rounded person that knows how to play with lots of different ingredients, whether we're talking about food or thoughts. But with that said, I wonder if there's any last thought that you want to share with the people listening today. Do you have any requests of them, or is there any last thought you want to leave them with?
Yes, I would like to say that, like, and we want to look our best because looking our best make us feel good. But the journey to health and up leveling, what it does, if done holistically and with the intention to up level emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all these things. It creates the possibility for you to connect with other people, yourself, your dreams, and things you didn't even know you were capable of. So basically to reach your potential, which I believe is what we came here to do. You dive into it deeply and have no shame about it. That's the self-care we're here for in 2025. And keep watching my sister's podcast. She's a badass. I love it. I love everything that you do. You're such a pro. And I love that each day it's not like you just stop and be like, nah, I'm gonna chill. You have no chill. You're the most organized, no chill person that I know. And it's amazing. I just feel like you're gonna be going and going and surprising us with each turn that you take, but you also fulfill your projects and it's amazing. So keep watching my sister and go ahead and stream Apat, APAT by myself and some members of the Apat na Alang, the Four Waves tribe, including Talilo Marfil and Jack. Ethnic Descent, rest in peace, because all proceeds go to him and supporting his family. He was an amazing hip hop artist and proud Filipino community member who just wanted to push the culture. And unfortunately, he passed just a little while ago. So we did have the honor of making a song with him, and go and stream it. And yeah, be good to yourselves.
That is so beautiful. I love you so much. I appreciate all of your kind words. I had you on here because you inspire me in more ways than you'll ever know, with all your creativity, everything that you do, and continue reaching for the stars. I know that you're going to get there. And I'm going to be here for you while you do it.
Thank you, Kitty. I can't wait to see you. I love you so much.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.